Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Anson here, and today I'm going to show you guys how to implement a simple ban command for your Discord bot. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and let's see. We're going to go ahead and create another else if case, and we're going to invoke the isValid command function, which just pretty much verifies that we are calling the command ban with the correct prefix. And I highly suggest you guys watch my previous videos that are all part of the series, because everything is in sequential order. So in order for you to understand what I'm really doing here, I would highly suggest you just watch my other videos, so it'll give you a better understanding. Okay? So over here, if they do the $ban command, okay, we want them to pass in the user's ID. Now, there are multiple implementations that you can do to ban users. You can either do a ban, you can tag the user, you can pass in the ID. It's up to you. But we're going to do something simple. We're going to just have them, we're just going to get the ID. So you can actually easily get a user's ID if you enable developer tools. And you can do that by just going to user settings, and then go to developers and just enable developer tools. And that will allow you to right click pretty much, anything. And then you can just copy the ID. So for example, if I wanted to let's just kick Danebot, I would copy, or ban Danebot, I would copy ID, ban, just like that. I'm actually gonna go ahead and change the command to ban user, because I don't want it to conflict with Dino. I mean, I could just just kick Dino, but I don't want to. So I want to change the command to ban user, but for you could just do ban user, BanMember, whatever you want. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead, and first we're going to expect the user to pass in the user ID. Okay, so we have to do something like this, and we're going to have to get that ID from this message. So to do that, we're going to reference the message.content property. Remember, the content property of the message object is the actual message that the user sent. It's a string. Okay, so we're gonna go and say let user ID equal. So message.content is gonna get us the entire message the user sent. So that's gonna be this, ban user space in the ID. That's gonna be that entire thing as a string. And what we want to do is I want to get this ID. I don't care about the command or the space. I just want the ID. So I know in my previous videos, the way we've extracted arguments from the message, we did that by using the substring function, and the substring function pretty much just gives us a substring given certain boundaries, okay? But I'm gonna do something a little bit different. Instead of using the substring function, I'm gonna show you another way how we can extract arguments. I'm gonna use the index of function along with substring. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to say message.content substring. So we're still going to be using the substring function, but instead of passing in a hard-coded number, I'm going to pass in message.content. So the same string, but I'm going to call, it's message.content, and I'm going to call the index of function. And what this function does is it searches the substring inside the string. It's going to search for the first occurrence, okay? So the first substring that I want to search for is a space, right? Because a space is a substring that's part of this string. So I want to search for the first occurrence of the space, and that's going to give us the position of the first occurrence of that substring. Okay, so it's going to be a space. Okay, so this is going to give us, let's see, we can count. Remember, strings are zero index. What that means is that the first character starts at 0. So we have 0, 1, 2, 3. Let me zoom in a little bit. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So index of is gonna return 8, but we want to start at position 9, which is 5, and everything after that. So we're gonna add 1 to it. Okay. Now, obviously, again, you can just pass in 9 if you know, but of course, there are some times where you might not know what the where to start. So it's better to use functions like this instead of hard coding numbers like this. Occasionally you want to avoid, as much as possible, you want to avoid hard coding numbers. I'm only doing it just for demonstration purposes because I don't want to make things too complicated. But I figured since we're already this far into the series, I might as well introduce to you guys different techniques, different functions that you guys can use to play around, just so that you can understand like the the JavaScript language. Okay. So to show you guys that this actually works, I'm going to log the user ID before we even go any further. And let's do that. And you're going to see in the console that it's going to give us the same exact argument. Okay. And likewise, if, if I just continue on this over here, it's going to just give you everything after the first space. Okay. So there's a couple things that we have to do. We need to make sure that the person that is trying to invoke this command is not a non-admin. Like you don't want like regular users that are on your server to be able to even use this command at all. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just right above here, I'm just gonna say if message.member, and I'm just gonna check to see if I'm gonna check a couple things. Okay, so the easiest thing that you could do to secure your to protect certain commands, you can just give a certain role access to every single command. So what I mean by that is, okay, so let's say for example you're running a server and you have a moderator role. Okay, and in order for people to use the kick command, you can just check to see if they have that moderator role or if they have the admin role. Okay, now I think that's a little bit more secure. You can just honestly, you could just also check to see if they have the ban members permission or kick members permission. Okay, but of course you can always add more checks. Like you can check to see if they have the ban members permission as well as the moderator permission. Okay, of course it's just up to you. I urge you guys to think it through yourselves, but I'm just going to show you a simple security check. Okay, because obviously you don't want normal users on your server to be able to use this command. So if they don't have this ban members permission, you're going to skip the command. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're just going to say message.channel send. Well, hold on. If you don't have these permissions, okay, we're going to say message.channel send. You don't have permission to use that command. Typically, you don't want to say anything. Like if a non-admin or non-moderator tries to use an admin or moderator command, typically you shouldn't really like give them any feedback, because that at least kind of like tells them a little bit of things, and you don't want people to know about that. I mean, again, it doesn't really matter, but it's up to you. Okay, so what we're doing here is I added the negation operator. This is called the negation operator, and this just negates the truth value of this condition. Okay, because has permission basically returns a Boolean value. So if this returns true, we're basically saying, okay, does this member not have ban members permission? And if they don't, we're going to send this message. And if they do have that, if it returns true, it's going to negate it, and it's going to go into this else case. Then we're going to continue on. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go ahead and use the command that I wrote in the last video. I think it was the say command, and I'm going to have the bot try to use this command. Okay, it's going to be pretty cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, so let's say for example, if I say hello, the bot should say something. I don't know why. Oh, it's doing it in version 12. Okay. Hold on, let me do something real. What was I again? Okay, I'm gonna say instead of say hello, we're gonna say ban user. So the bot is gonna say ban user, and you're gonna see over here. Why did it not log anything? Hold on. There should have been a message that sent. Hold on. I'm not sure why that didn't go through. Oh, that's because it was sent by a bot. Okay, I'm just going to temporarily get rid of this real quick, because I don't have another account on Discord to show you guys. So I'm just going to let the bot send the message. But you guys are going to see that the bot is going to try to... See? You don't have permission to use that command. Okay, but if I give the bot I think moderator role, my moderator role should have that member's permission. It doesn't. Okay, let's give it. Okay. And let's go ahead and try this again. So say ban user. Notice how it doesn't say anything anymore, right? It doesn't give us that you don't have permission to use the command. So basically, any regular user, this pretty much shows that we are protecting the we're protecting the command so that regular users can't just ban the user. Okay, and you also need to make sure that your bot actually has the BanMember permission, otherwise it won't actually be able to ban members. And I highly encourage you guys to create a separate Discord account or have your friends help you test your bot out. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and just leave this alone. And so yeah, we know for a fact this works. Obviously, I can't check it with my own account because I'm an admin of the server. So it's already by default I have all of the I mean, I'm the owner of the server, so I'm gonna have all of the permissions. So okay, so let's continue with the rest of the logic. Okay, so now we need to check to see if the ID of the user actually exists in the guild. Okay, so there's actually two things that you can do. You can either fetch the user, like not fetch. You can either reference. You can get the user by its ID, and I'll show you how to do that. So let's just say let user equal, and we're gonna go ahead and do message. We're gonna reference the guild property dot members because the guild object has the members property, and this pretty much has all of the members that the bot can see. And we're going to reference the cache because this is the guild member manager. Okay, and we can use this to get any member that is in the cache. Okay. Okay, so this is going to get it, and we're going to have to check if it actually exists. Okay, because this can return null. And we're going to say console.log user. We're just going to log it for now, and we're going to just say user not found. Okay, I want to show you guys everything so that we are going through every single test case. So let's try ban user. Yes, you're going to see that it's going to say user not found. However, if I copy dino and I do ban user, you're going to see that we have the actual user. Now there's a chance that the user might not actually be in the cache. So what you should do is you say fetch user equal message .guild .members .cache .fetch, or wait, not cache, members .fetch. And what this will do is it'll fetch the member. Okay, and so the fetch function actually returns a promise. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just I'm going to turn our callback function into an asynchronous callback function. That way I can use the await function. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and just log this just to see. And I'm going to get rid of all this quick. I just want to show you guys that the fetch function also works too if you want to fetch the member. But you'll see that okay, our bot didn't log in yet. Let's try it again, and you're gonna see we have the same result. Okay, now there's a couple things though. Okay, so again, I think there are some situations where you might need to actually fetch the member. I'm not sure of all of the exact specifics, but I highly suggest you you play around with it and see. But just letting you know that again, if you wanted to actually ban the member, you have to get the member object first. Okay, now that's one way. Okay, so we're going to just stick with referencing the cache and calling the get function, and we're just going to say if user. So if the user actually exists, what are we going to do next? Okay, now this is not a user, this is actually a member, because there's actually a difference between guild members and users, so I should really call this member instead. Okay, so member ID. So if member, we're just going to say member.ban. And you can pass in options. Okay, you can specify the length, but we're just gonna say ban. The options parameter is optional. Okay, and we're just not gonna do anything if or we're just gonna say this else message.channel.send member does not exist or member not found. Okay, so watch this. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go and say ban user. Let's type in an invalid ID. It's going to say member does not exist. Okay, we tried to find it in the cache. It's not there. Now, let's see. I'm going to ban Danebot. You're going to see that Danebot is going to... See, Danebot is gone. We just banned Danebot, and we are good. Okay, cool. So, I'm going to show you one more way to ban a user. Okay, this does not require you to do any fetching or any retrieval of the member object. You can just directly ban the member by their user ID. So that's actually pretty cool. So we're gonna comment all this out. So this is actually a new feature. This is actually a new method part of v12. So what you can do is you can reference the members property, and you can just directly pass in a user resolvable. Okay, so right over here, I'm just gonna get rid of all this. So we're referencing the message object. We're referencing the guild property that belongs to the message object, and the guild object itself has a property called members, which is the guild member manager, and the guild member manager has a method called ban, and ban takes in the user resolvable. So it's either the user object, the ID of the user, the member object, or a message, which ends up being resolved to the author, which is the the user of the user to send the message. Okay. So we're just going to directly pass in, like we're not going to do any checks. Okay, wait, I actually messed something up. We still need the member ID, so let's not forget that. But I'm not going to do any checks. I'm just going to directly pass in member ID. Okay, and let's see. Okay, we're going to leave the function alone, so let's just get rid of this. Ban. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and say, so when you call ban, it actually returns a promise, and it resolves the user that was banned. Okay, so we're going to await this. We're going to say let's BanMember equal awaits. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and say if BanMember console.log BanMember.tag was banned. Okay, so I'm going to try to ban one person, else ban did not happen. Okay, now there's one more thing that I need to mention, and you always want to do this whenever you're handling code that can throw an error. Okay, so this is typically very common, and you should always do this whenever you're writing code. You always want to make sure you're catching your errors, okay? Because right now, this ban method can actually throw an error, because what this is doing, it's actually hitting the Discord API, and it can throw an error. For example, if your bot is missing permissions to ban the user, it's going to throw an error, or something could go wrong, right? So you always want to make sure you are handling your errors. Now there's two ways you can do it, but since we're using async await syntax, okay, because remember, our callback function, we added the async keyword in front of it, and all that means is an asynchronous function just returns a promise. Okay, but it allows us to use the await keyword. You cannot use the await keyword inside without being in an asynchronous function. So since we're using async await, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use TryCatch to wrap all this together. So what this basically is saying is, okay, try to do this. Okay, and at some point, if there's an error that is thrown, we're going to catch that error, and we're going to do something with that error, or we're going to do something after. Okay, it could be anything you want, but we're just going to log the error to the console. Okay, so once again, let's go through the logic again. Okay, up here, we're saying, okay, if the member does not have the permission ban members, we're going to send this message to the channel. However, if they do have permission, it's going to go into this else case. We're going to get the ID of the member, and since our code can throw an error, we want to make sure we're handling our errors accordingly. Otherwise, it's going to give us something like, unhandled error exception. So we're using try and catch, and we're saying, okay, try this. Await message.guild.members.ban, try to ban the member by their ID. If that succeeded, we're going to log it to the console. If it didn't, ban did not happen. And if an error was thrown, we're going to log the error. Okay, so let's try this right now. I'm going to go ahead and ban this guy. So hopefully, let me just save my bot again. Make sure, good. I always get anxiety whenever in case I didn't restart my bot. Because I don't want to go through the hassle of, banning everyone. Okay, good. Banning everyone and just getting them all again. Okay, so let's pass in this ID. First, let's just pass in an incorrect ID and let's see what happens, okay? Notice how an error was being thrown because it's an unknown user. This is very important. You want to always make sure you are handling your errors. You want to make sure you're catching your errors, okay? And if you guys don't really understand TryCatch, I have a video on exceptions that you guys should watch on my YouTube channel, so go ahead and check that out. It'll explain everything about try and catch, okay? But okay, so let's actually ban the member now. So an error was thrown. Let's try ban the member. You're gonna see that the bot disappeared, and it's gonna say in the console, beta Dane 2.0 hashtag 430 was banned. Perfect, just like that. Okay, and that right there is a very simple ban command. It's very easy. It checks to see if the member that's using that command has the ban member's permission, and then if they don't, it's going to say you don't have permission to use the command. And if they do have permission, we're just going to directly get the member ID. We're going to pass it into the message.guildmembers.ban function, and it's going to do that. Okay, so now why did I show two different ways of banning members? Okay, so there's really no difference. I would say probably the difference is probably, I think, internally. I'm not entirely sure on what actually goes underneath behind the hood. I would actually have to check the source code myself. But what I will say is that this is obviously so much easier because it takes less lines of code, and literally, like, you can just tidy everything up. Like, literally, it's just like, you know, max 3 lines over here. Okay, all you do is you just say message.guild.members.ban, you pass in the ID, and that's it. If the user is not found, then it's going to throw an error, but if it is found, then it's just going to simply ban the member. Okay, I think though by default, if you actually ban the member from the guild member manager cache, I think that itself is actually a lot faster. Because I think with this ban, you still need to actually fetch the user through the API. But if it's already in the cache already, then they don't need to fetch the user from the API itself, from the Discord API. They can just get their details and just ban them immediately. So hopefully this video made some sense. Again, if you guys have any questions, just let me know down in the comments. Join my Discord server. I'll be happy to answer as many questions as I can. If I'm not busy, of course. But if I can't answer it, there's always going to be someone on my server that can try their best to help you out. So I will see you guys in my next video. Peace.